Good morning everyone, welcome to the stream. I hope you're all doing okay today and that you are ready for some more The House in Fata Morgana. So last time was a very emotional episode actually. We started off with Giselle being in the woods, remembering her past, how she was raped and abused by Michel's father at the Bollinger estate. And then she got rescued from the forest, almost dead, and got taken to a village where life started to feel a little bit hopeful again, until things went to shit and they turned on her when they were discovered by a lord and had to pay more taxes and all that. And they just turned on her, abused her, tortured her, and she just snapped and led them to the mansion where Michel lives in order to basically rob him of his furniture and all that is worth some money. But Michel managed to scare them away, and then Giselle just screamed at the top of her lungs for Michel to kill her because she don't want to live anymore. So yeah, it was very, very emotional. But it ended with Michel taking her inside the house to do some talking, so maybe now they will be able to get over their mistrust of one another and actually talk like human beings. So yeah, I'm very excited for this episode. It might be a long one, I'm not sure how, because I know sort of where I want to stop, but we'll see if it gets too long or if it's manageable, but we'll see. I have some time at hand, so we will see how far we get. But yeah, let's just get into it, guys. Giselle didn't recover for some time after I managed to get her inside. Unsure what else I could do for her, I had her sit before the fireplace and waited in silence as she sobbed. I had no idea what one was supposed to say to someone who was crying. Was it normal to offer them a warm drink? I didn't know. I did know I needed to reflect on the things she had said outside and try to make sense of them. And from there, calm myself down and prepare for the conversation we were to have, as unpleasant as I was sure it would be. A considerable amount of time later, Giselle's sobbing drew to a stop, an oppressive silence stepping in to take its place. Poor girl, my heart. For far longer than was comfortable, the only sound we heard was the gentle crackling of the fire. I had to say something. I knew that, but what I didn't know was how to begin. I knew nothing about having an honest face-to-face discussion with someone about the things we were thinking and feeling. But that didn't change anything. I had to do it. Even if down that road lay truths I would be happier not seeing. Giselle. Could you please tell me what you did what was done to you at my family's home? How you ended up coming to this mansion, and what happened after you left? I would like to know everything, from start to finish. Will you believe what I tell you? You never so much as gave me the time of day before. And I very much doubt you will find what I have to say agreeable. Will you still believe me even then? Believe my word, a stranger's word, of your family or the people of the village? I cannot yet say. I must hear what you have to say to make that decision. I suppose that might be better than you saying you believe me unconditionally. All right, I'll tell you everything. Just know that nothing I say is a lie. Understood? Giselle methodically recounted her tale for me. She told me of how she accepted an offer from the Bollingers to work as an Abigail to earn money for her family. Of how my father, Antonin, had other plans for her. Of the things he did to her. She spoke dryly, simply putting words to each event, one after the other. I had already seen how she felt deep down though. Had heard her pain screams, which were undoubtedly genuine. I didn't think she was trying to deceive me. That was the sound of old wounds being torn open, and even I could see that. Or perhaps my own experiences were what allowed me to see it. Regardless, I had realized too late. I should have seen it sooner. She described it all mechanically to remain detached from what had happened to her, to protect herself. Of that I had no doubts. Still, the things she told me were almost unbearable, and I had a difficult time accepting them. What was I supposed to do? When I learned my father was a rapist? How was I supposed to react to that revelation? What was I supposed to think about the fact that his blood flowed through me? I repulsed myself. Do you want all the details? What do you mean? Of the wounds he gave me. I still have scars from the things he did. If you don't believe me, I can show them to you. No, that won't be necessary. I see. That's a relief. I don't think I could have handled that right now. I hadn't turned down her offer for her sake. I only did so because I didn't think I could take anymore. I averted my eyes to protect myself. Why had I taken my mother's word, brushing aside everything Giselle had said and done? I knew good and well my mother was no longer in her right mind. So why had I thought her letter the truth? Why had I been unable to think rationally? There were, I believe, several factors. My childhood, my past, the witch's whispers, and above all, my own character, consumed with the trust for everything. I had to face it now. To open my eyes once more, to look at everything I had pretended away until now. I was not completely blameless for her suffering after all. Please continue, if you will. I left off at the point where the mistress discovered what was happening, I believe. I was sent to this mansion to atone for my sins. Sins that she didn't even commit. It was decided I would be sent here rather than being executed, which is what the mistress wanted. At first, I assumed it would be essentially a private prison. But in the carriage on the way here, I was given a letter. A letter? From whom? It didn't say, but your father was the one who ordered me here, so I would guess it was him. The letter was very concise, simply explaining that there was someone already there. The Bollingers' youngest child. It didn't go into any more detail than that. But it did ask me to look after you. Do you still have the letter? I don't. The coachman took it back after I was finished. Thinking back on it now, that was rather strange of him to do. It was just a harmless letter. It was anything but. What? Ah. It wasn't my father who wrote that letter. He believes me to be dead, so he would have sincerely thought he was banishing you to an empty house in a remote forest. The writer couldn't risk leaving anything that might suggest I was still alive. Then who? My brother, I believe. Either Didier or George, but I would guess Didier. Your brother? Why would he... I do not know. I can't imagine why he would write such a letter, or why he would want to tell you about me. I don't believe he had any ill intentions, at least. I mean, he asked me to look after you. That makes it sound like he's concerned about you. And why doesn't he stay in contact? Why does he never respond to my letters? It's a bit late to suddenly start being concerned. No, never mind that now. Please, tell me the rest. Alright. Giselle resumed her story from the day she fled the mansion, terrified by my behavior. She seemed to be putting a bit more emotion in her tone of voice now, perhaps because she could see I was more interested in this part. There was a deep sadness on her face as she described that night in the rain, listening to the thunder, when she gave up on living. And I knew why I had caused it. She then told me of the time she spent in a nearby village. How, at first, life had seemed wonderful, but in time it had come crumbling down. Naturally, she wouldn't be here to tell me this if nothing had happened there. Once she was through with her tale, Giselle let out a long, heavy sigh, as though she had been holding it in for some time. I thought I could hear just a faint trembling in the air she exhaled. That is everything. Do you believe me? If you don't, if you still think I'm deceiving you, then I won't argue with you. That's fine. If that's the case, please just kill me. Why didn't you tell me this sooner? I know I wasn't very open to anything you said, but if that day, when I found you in my room, you had told me I was mistaken, that the sim belonged to my father, it might not have turned out like this. The knife. What? You were holding a knife. I can't handle blades anymore. Ever since what happened, they scare me to death. Just the sight of one in someone's hand, and I start thinking they're going to use it on me. I can't help it. I start shaking uncontrollably, growing faint of breath. The world goes white. I can't even form words. There's nothing I can do. Ah, now I finally see. She was grimacing in pain. The day the package arrived, when he knocked my hand away. Because I was scared. Because it reminded me of that time. I had assumed he was simply jumpy from a guilty conscience. I felt nauseous realizing I had been pouring a constant stream of salt onto her unmendable wounds. What a damn fool I was. Why did you get so upset at me? Why did you have to point a knife at me? I didn't want you snooping. If you meant to sell information about me, I thought I had to do anything in my power to stop you. I'm still not convinced it was necessary. I was unarmed. I couldn't fight back. You didn't need a knife. I have nothing left anymore, so I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel. You're a jerk! You're right about that, Giselle. He definitely is. What you did was inexcusable. You may not have hurt me physically, but you still hurt me. Well deserved? Yeah, very well deserved. Humans are frail creatures. They wound easily. Apologize. What? Apologize to me. I said apologize. I'm sorry. Again. Put your heart into it. Convince me you mean it. I'm sorry. Again, once more. Get down on your knees and shout it from your gut. I'm so very sorry! Was that a laugh? Jeez, you're such a strange man. Strange? You told me to do it. Nothing's going like I thought it would. I figured even if we talked, you would just deny everything I said. I didn't think you'd actually listen to me. But you did. You listened, and you looked quite distressed by what you heard. I looked distressed. Oh yes, you sure did. I wish I'd had a mirror to show you. I'm sure you didn't want to believe what I said, but you didn't once accuse me of lying. You faced up to the truth, and you apologized. I seem to have had the wrong impression of you as well. I didn't try to see you for who you were, instead letting myself believe you were someone to be afraid of. To be honest, I didn't like you very much. The feeling was mutual. But for some reason, I don't feel that way now. Is it guilt? I need to apologize to you too. Apologize for what? I led the villagers here. I almost sold my soul to the devil. I tried to sell you out to save myself. And for that, I am truly sorry. I don't understand. What? Do I need to get down on my knees too? No, that's not what I meant. The blame falls on the village for falsely accusing you of stealing. You were a convenient scapegoat for the real thieves. They planned to take advantage of you from the start. That Amity was probably in on it as well. To get back at you for rejecting his proposal. Plus, giving the village a single target to let out their frustrations on would, in a way, help unify them. He used you to meet that end. In order to escape from their trap, you told them about me. But it was after I threatened you, causing you to flee from this place. You have nothing to apologize for. Still, I still feel really bad about it. So, I'm sorry anyway. You're unexpectedly stubborn. But now that we both apologize to each other, we can call everything square. Square? Square. We were both in the wrong. So we apologized, and we forgave each other. She gave a little smile, but all I could do was stare at her, brow furrowed in perplexity, like I was looking at some bizarre fantasyland creature. The weight of our crimes was not equal. What I had done to her was so much, very much worse. Furthermore, I am Antonin's son. His blood flows through me. Can you honestly say that you don't find me revolting? That you're willing to forgive me for that? I didn't think I would be able to. If I were her, my grudge would extend to all my family, everyone I had ever come in contact with. I can. Although, you don't need forgiveness for being his son. Being related to someone doesn't make you responsible for their sins. It wouldn't be fair to blame you for that. You're curious. What? Curious? About what? No, not that curious. You're a strange creature. I'm human, you know. Yes, I know you're human. You're making me lightheaded. Is it a medical emergency? That's quite a leap in logic. You know, I was at my lowest just a little bit ago, and now I'm laughing again. It's odd. I never expected I would recover at all. I was just as surprised as her. She had been through hell, and she had more than enough reason to despise me, to shower me with I can't read. To shower me with vitriol, but instead she was smiling. And even more unexpected was the fact that I felt relieved to see it. I really truly wished I had gotten to know him sooner. Yes, I had fled from the mansion in fear of him, but maybe if I had just a little more courage, enough to tell him the truth, maybe he would have listened. I had let my initial impression of him solidify too quickly. I had convinced myself he was insensitive and perpetually expressionless, save for the Arctic stare. But the man standing before me did experience sadness, pain, distress. Or, at the very least, he appeared to, from where I was standing. Michel was, just like me, an ordinary person. That said, there was still plenty I didn't know. I was still lacking explanations for much of his behavior. Would you mind telling me about yourself now? I'd like to get to know you better. What are you doing here in this mansion, all alone? Why do you call yourself cursed? I told you everything. It's only fair you do the same. I have no interest in using your information for anything. I have no reason to. Or are you going to keep pushing the master and servant line? Do you still think I have no need to know? Be quiet! For the love of God, stop talking already! You always pick the worst time! What? Excuse me? What do you mean I always pick the worst time? No, I wasn't... Unbelievable! Just when I was starting to think you were actually a decent human being. Then you go and spout this. No, Giselle, I wasn't talking to you. Who else could it have been? I was, talking to, you know... I have a condition that forces me to vocalize objections to my own thoughts. That's a very believable lie, Michelle. You know, that's about as convincing as my allergic to people excuse. Sorry. Weirdo. What crosses did he bear? What secrets did he keep? Maybe the truth was far beyond my reckoning. And if it was, even if he did, please tell me everything. No matter what you say, I won't doubt your words. I will trust you, and I'm sure I can accept anything you say. Please. If you don't put it into words, I have nothing to work with. Okay. Where should I start though? How about the curse then? Are you actually cursed? That's a difficult question. I cannot, for example, take someone's life with my curse, nor can I bring about disaster. I don't have any magical powers like that. I like that we're getting... I mean, he's holding back, definitely. He's not telling us everything, obviously. But I like that he... The contrast, again, between this door and the fourth door. Because there, his curse was all pure magical fantasy stuff. And here, it's more grounded in reality. And I really like that contrast. And I like that he says that as well. So, what you said outside was a bluff then? It was just a way to chase the villagers away. Well, you certainly put on a convincing performance. So you can't actually curse anyone, huh? Regardless, I am human. Nothing more, nothing less. At least I consider myself one. Others would disagree. And the reason for that has to do with my body. Your skin, hair, and eye color, right? Right. Seeing Michel under the sun, it certainly wasn't what most people would consider normal. Awe-inspiring, in fact. Giving birth to me, it broke my mother. No, I drove her mad. Not only do I appear inhuman, I'm oversensitive to sunlight. While a little light through the window isn't much of a problem, I can't be outside directly under the sun for more than a couple of hours. When she realized I couldn't go out into the sun, my mother started thinking I was possessed by a demon. So she banished me to this mansion until my curse was broken. That was 10 years ago. Just because you look different from them. The family's reputation was at stake too. If other noble houses realized they were giving refuge to an unholy creature, it would destroy the bowling years. You saw how the villagers reacted. They called me a demon when they saw me. It is convincing because, like, this is the Middle Ages, so, I mean, it's not a bad lie, but, like, it's so obvious, though, that he is lying, because once he hesitated when he answered her, and also, like, I don't know, it's just 10 years ago. He is obviously not a kid, so the mother would have noticed that they couldn't go out into the sun earlier, I believe, if that was the truth, so it's obviously not the truth. I suspect the rumors about the mansion played a part in that. If nobody thought the house was cursed, they wouldn't have. I'm sure you were afraid as well. You saw me and thought I was not of this world, that I looked like a demon. I thought you looked like an angel. A what? I at least thought you looked more like an angel than a demon. It never once crossed my mind that you might be evil. But I understand your situation now. Because of your appearance, you've lived all alone in this dark mansion for 10 years. It was never really an inconvenience. They bring me all the supplies I need. You big liar. Have you never considered running away? That's not an option. Because of the sun? No, I can move during the night if I really wanted to. I'm being watched. To ensure I don't leave. Watched? They can't allow anyone to find out I am alive, particularly at the Bollinger estate. If I were to run and they were to find out, I would probably be killed. If only I didn't stand out so much, I might be able to stay out of sight easier. But also, I had been holding on to a little hope, I think. Hope that I might be able to return someday. I have all but given up on that hope now, though. Not that I ever had enough willpower to really fight for it. I see. You don't need to worry about pitying me either. It's long since become normal to me. That's not something that should ever become normal. So, what was that really a moment ago? You don't actually have a condition that makes you argue with yourself, do you? Please tell me. You don't have to believe me. In fact, I doubt you will. You're free to think I'm completely mad. Don't worry, I want to know. I can hear the witch's voice. The witch's voice? It started when I first arrived at the mansion. No one else can hear it either. Like I said, it sounds crazy. Not at all. I said I would trust you, so I believe you. Maybe he's not well. Yeah, that has to be it. 10 years all alone in one place and you're bound to start hearing things. He seems like a delicate person too. Thinking about it like that, I'm starting to feel really sorry for him. Do I want to know what you're thinking? I'm here for you! Huh? I made up my mind. I'm going to stay here with you. Wait, what? Don't worry, I'll shout so loud you won't be able to hear that silly witch's voice anymore. Giselle, you are so adorable, I love you. Will you now? If you hear it again, let me know, understood? You don't have to be afraid. I never said I was. Whenever you hear it, I'll be there with you, holding your hand. Well, we cannot take the extremely long route. But there you have it. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Master. Master? Now, where should we begin? I know, supper. Are you hungry? What should I make? Slow down, please. What is it? If there's something you like, I'm happy to accommodate. You actually intend to stay here? Again? After what happened last time? Because of what happened. Because of that, we're finally able to see past each other's surface. I want us to try again, from the beginning. And this time, actually try to be considerate of one another's feelings. That's a promise, Master. Alright. I can stay here, right? I don't mind. I'm glad to hear it. Say. Yes, Master? If you ever want something from me, could I please ask you to put it into words? I don't have much faith in my ability to pick up on things. Got it! Then here's something to start with. What do you say we open up some of these windows? Open the windows? Yeah, we don't have to if you think it will cause you problems, but it would be nice to get a little light in here. I'd like to put an end to this house being a dark, closed-off cave. I wasn't the one who barred the windows. You weren't? They were like that when I arrived. Made it seem like a very appropriate place to lock me away. While I am sensitive to light, yes, as I mentioned, a little sun through the windows shouldn't cause any problems. Girls always want to come and change everything and us men have it rough. Nah, you have it fine. We help you. We make your life easier. We do the things you wouldn't, okay? Alright then. Can I ask you to help me open them? Let's both lighten this place up. After a few moments of silence, Michel gave me a curt nod. While we couldn't do anything about the windows that had been boarded up, the two of us forced open the ones that were just covered by rusted over shutters. When we got the first one open, a beautiful stream of light, like nothing I had ever seen before. Flooded into the dark mansion's halls. I had assumed that spring would never come. All we had to do was talk to each other, listen to each other, and everything else would fall into place. But it was that first step that was so hard, so much harder than either of us had expected. And now that the ice was melting, we had to treasure that. It might not have seemed like much to someone else, but to us, it was a huge accomplishment. Good for them. They really do deserve this, both of them. This time, it'll all work out. It has to. I had all the confidence in the world when we were together. But now that I'm alone in the dark, in the absolute silence of the night, I'm starting to get anxious again. Starting to feel like something bad is going to happen. Like I'm going to mess something up again. We took a big step today, and I know I have to keep it together, to keep thinking positive. The goods you're after, Giselle, are not cheap. Understand? Thus says the Lord of hosts, the woman hath committed 3 sins. She has lied, she has stolen, and she has betrayed her fellow man. It's all right. It's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of, Giselle. Whatever happens, you have to hold fast on your faith in the goodness of others. Hi, Elrin. Welcome to the stream. You have no reason to tremble. Yes, come in. That's odd. I don't think I was hearing things. There's no one there. What was that about? How's my day? My day is pretty good. Woke up just about an hour ago, had some breakfast, and now I'm here. How about you? You having a good day? Oh? A glass? It's wine. And it's so warm. I guess he heated it on the fire for me. Oh, you. You could at least have said hi. I have a feeling this is going to work out. Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear it. Hope you can sit here and relax for a bit then. The light shining in through the windows is swallowed whole by the darkness, as if to say our time together never actually existed. We saw it though. Together we watched the light crack open the darkness. I'm begging you, please remember. Please find yourself. Please, Giselle, don't let the things you felt, the warmth that fell over us, remain lost to you. I might have seen it. Seen that most beautiful light. Giselle. But are these truly my memories? Could it not be someone else's tale? Like all the others we have seen so far. She was so bright and energetic, and I am neither of those. Besides, the maid needs not a tale of her own. This is not a story. These are memories. Mine and your memories, no one else's. It was all very much real. As were the kinder, happier days that came next. Kinder, happier days. Those words create a strange warmness within my chest. But at the same time, they make me indescribably anxious. Is there really happiness to be found down that road? Even if our past doesn't lead to happiness, it couldn't be worse than where we are now. Come, Giselle, to the spring that made us more than just strangers. Master? Come on, get up! Up with you! Master! What? Oh, we're finally getting this flashback that we saw in the master bedroom before, but we only saw like Giselle's shadow, and now we're actually seeing the whole scene with Michel in it as well. See? What did I tell you? It's so much nicer in here with a little light. Morning? Wait a sec! Don't you hide under your bedspread? Get out of there! I'm fine with my room staying dark. What's she even doing in here? Oh, but master, you agreed that I could open the windows. I did, yes. Don't worry, I put curtains up. If it gets too bright, you can draw them. Mornings take the best part of being outside and squeeze them all into the same few hours. You don't have to go outside in the sunlight for it either. Just listen to all the wonderful sounds. The joyous songs of the birds, the swaying of the trees, the rustling of leaves. Am I being as pushy as I feel right now? Kind of. But you wouldn't be you if you weren't. So for now, I won't get on you about it. Also, now that I know your real intentions... no, never mind. I completely misjudged you. You're the exact opposite of what I thought you were. What did you think of me? Let's see. Oh, look at her mischievous face here. She's so cute. I thought you were cold and cruel. Heartless and incomprehensible. But I'm beginning to get a better idea. You try to put on airs, but you're really rather childish. You have a short temper, but can be surprisingly playful. What else? You have a pretty difficult personality too. There's not a single good trait on that list. Now, hear me out here. That's not everything. You give me a chance to talk, and you listen intently. You can be kind of nice too. We agreed that we would live together, not just in the same house, so we got plenty of time to add more to the list. And I hope you can make your own list about me too. This is just the beginning after all. We got a long time ahead of us. Plenty enough to get to know each other now. Let's not waste any time then. What do you say we do something today that we haven't been able to do before? Where should we begin? Oh, I know. We can get this place cleaned up. You want to clean? Now that there's some actual light in here, we can see all sorts of things we'd probably rather not. Like dust. All over the place. My vision was still slightly unfocused, having not completely escaped from Morpheus's embrace, but I could see well enough to catch her smiling brightly. That was the first time I got a good look at her in the light. I could see facial features I had missed during yesterday's commotion, and those glittering eyes. Not even a trace of the tribulations she had endured tainted her pure jade eyes. She's surprisingly good looking. I am clearly not myself right now. Is something the matter, master? I know, you're still half asleep, aren't you? I guess I'm just going to have to throw my best bucket of water on you. What is a best bucket of water? I'm awake. Is there something on my face then? Just far too amusing a sight to wake up to. Amusing? Oh, just get out of bed already! What a noisy morning. Giselle is sort of like my cat. He's always trying to get me to go out of bed before I want to. Like as soon as he's noticing me starting to open up my eyes, he's just there, right in my face and like poking me with his paw. It's very cute, but also very annoying when you're newly awakened. I got my first decent look at Michel's face under the light of that morning. Watching him stifle a yawn as he crawled out of bed. All the little details I hadn't been able to pick up in the darkness, his expressions, mannerisms, and the way he looked at me. I could see facial features I had missed during yesterday's commotion, and those vivid, all-consuming red eyes. I was probably, no, almost certainly, making a really dumb face at him. You kind of vibe with this dude? Yeah, I'm vibing so much with Michel. Michel is me. Is it just me, or is he kind of... No, very pretty. It's not just you, Giselle, he is gorgeous. How could I not have noticed this until now? Oh jeez, wow, I can't look him in the eyes. Yes? What can I do for you? Is there something on my face? Well, no, Huh? Hair monster! Not really your type of art style? Yeah, he does look attractive. I love this art style. I think it's really different from a lot of other visual novels, so I really like it. But yeah, I agree, he's very attractive. Excuse me? No, your hair. It's really long. Yes, that's it, way too long. Oh, is that any way for a servant to speak to her master? I'm just kidding. I don't have any interest in holding your status against you anymore. I see. It's really hard to tell if he's joking or not. So, about that cleaning. May I wash my face first? What? You're going to help? As I just said, I'm not going to act like I'm superior to you anymore. What are you snickering about? I can't help it. I'm happy. If my hair really does bother you, you can cut it. No, she cannot. No. That's a nope from me, Michel. Huh? I can cut it? Of course. I'll give you the best haircut you ever had. Oh, but I should warn you. You want to stay perfectly still. I am a monster with a pair of scissors. My sister always said you were as likely to lose an ear as you were your hair whenever I cut it. You stay away from me! Use a hair tie? Yeah, exactly. Tie it up, but don't cut it. I was shocked at how much more comfortable I felt around her, only one day following our opening up to each other. Maybe this was normal, and I had simply never felt it before. I didn't know. I had thought it would take years of work to get close enough to someone to be able to have a conversation without picking apart every little detail. But here I was, a day later, already there. Was that how it usually worked? Did people normally get close and draw apart so freely? I didn't find it unpleasant to have someone else around. It was a strange feeling. All that friction had dissipated in an instant. And it was like we had known each other for years. Though not entirely willingly, we began sharing meals, something I had always done by myself. Hey, I see you showing aside that parsnip. You need to eat everything. Do you have any idea why there was so much rotting parsnip in the cellar? I don't care for it. You could at least pretend to be ashamed. Yeesh, you're not a kid, so don't be so picky. It's not good for you. Hasn't caused any problems thus far. It will soon enough. I can't believe you. We have limited supplies and you won't eat your vegetables. Oh, question. I've got an idea. Go on. Is the list of supplies you sent by your family set in stone? Meaning... I was just wondering if it was possible to make requests. If I could, I would just go out on a shopping trip. Perish the thought. The only village around here is the one you came from. Right. Say, are you saying that out of concern for... Who would ever be concerned about you? I just want to be able to sleep well at night. and I'm not interested in throwing more servants to the lions. You know, you're a whole lot simpler of a person than I first thought. What's that supposed to mean? Oh, nothing. Back to your question about the delivery. Yes, you can. I haven't made any requests recently, but you can write what you want on a sheet of parchment, or if we don't have any, something similar. Put it in a box and leave it outside. As long as your request is not completely unreasonable, it should arrive with the next package. Why? Is there something you need? Yeah, I was hoping to increase our selection of vegetables. And while I'm at it, if possible... Actually, that's a secret. A secret? It's nothing too exciting. I'll tell you when the time is right. My relationship with Michel gradually transitioned from master and servant to something closer to friends. He was still my master, but he allowed me almost complete freedom. And he didn't order me around either. He even gave me a hand with my work. Though he was still not very talkative, and oftentimes hard to read, he at least seemed to be making an effort to close the gap. He would, on occasion, tell me about himself, though not in much detail, and anytime his family came up, he grimaced uncomfortably. Apparently, his father had wanted him dead. His brothers, though, had worked to create a scenario in which he could live, faking his death and sending him to this remote mansion. I had never encountered Michel's brothers while at his family estate. But assuming he was right, and it was one of them who had given me the letter, they were likely our only allies at that house. I don't know what he's thinking. It's been 10 years, Michel had muttered. To which I had replied, have faith. It was better to believe in something, even if it felt silly and unreasonable, than to lose faith in everything. My being able to find renewed belief in the kindness of people was what had allowed me to start smiling again after all. Because I was able to have that faith, I was able to enjoy life once more. It wasn't an exciting or thrilling life. It was a humble, simple one, with just the two of us. But I wouldn't trade that light for anything. Some people might think it dull or dreary, but it was ours. Master, I really truly appreciate that you want to help with the cooking. I do, honestly, but... This is apocalyptic. This is mutinous. This is an affront to gastronomy. This is unearthly disgusting. Get me better ingredients. What? I'm not a bad cook. These are simply bad ingredients. And then they lived happily ever after, right? For now. If they were better, they would taste just fine boiled. And it's not as bad as you claim, besides. You make a mockery of the culinary arts! I've been eating this for years. I don't see the problem. I've heard quite enough, Master. It sounds like I'm going to need to put your taste buds through some intense rehabilitation. I have to teach him what real foods taste like. Otherwise I won't be able to appreciate it if I'm making something really good. Are there choices in the game? There are some choices, but not really. It's mostly a straightforward story. You can get like bad ends, and then there are like some choices for answers you can give that does not really affect the story. But mostly no, it's just a story from beginning to end. Hold your chair steady for me, will you? I'm going to wipe down the top shelf. I can handle it. I'm tall enough to reach without standing on a chair. It's not as simple as just running a rag over it. I got practice, so let me take care of it, alright? There's a lot more dust than I expected. I probably should have used something to cover my mouth. You're going to want to hold your breath for this, Master. Alright, here goes. She's quite practiced. Is there any need for me to be holding the chair? Ah! Ah! Achoo! Ah! 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 What? Oh! Whoa! Hold the chair! Is he some kind of vampire or something? No, he's not a vampire, he's just albino. He also has some other secrets, but so far we don't know of them yet. But no, he's not a vampire. Ow, 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 ow. I'm so sorry. I didn't think it would be that much dust. Thank you for holding the... Master? Your hand is... What? Your hand is, it's on my chest. It was an accident. Right, it was. It's fine, really. It was my fault anyway. It's completely, totally fine. I can't even look her in the eyes. Could this be any more painfully awkward? So don't worry about it, Master. Honestly, I should be apologizing for subjecting you to that. That's easier said than done. I have to do something about this stifling awkwardness. For one, it was only for a moment. I barely even realized what it was. But that's not the issue. I need some clever way to brush this all aside. Something witty, that tells her I'm not bothered at all. I'm not concerned. In fact, I see no reason to be concerned at all. It felt like I was squeezing an obese rat. I hardly even perceived it as a breast. Michelle, you're so smooth, oh my god. I'm dying. An obese rat, wow. Oh my guy. My poor guy. An obese rat. An obese rat? What? How utterly insensitive can you be? I'm going to rip every last hair off your head. Ah! Leave my hair out of this! I love this, guys. It's so rare for these happy times in this game. It's so heartwarming. He might be right. No, I have not been touching any obese rats for a while, so no, I wouldn't know, but like, even if that was true, no, you don't say that. Say, Master, what did you do all this time all by yourself? That's an exceedingly vague question. Say, when you were really, really stupidly bored out of your mind, what did you do to keep yourself occupied? Meditate? Just how many times have you reached enlightenment? I sometimes played chess too. Chess? Wait, by yourself? Yes. I imagine how an opponent might react to my moves, and play the other side that way. That's kind of depressing to think about. How about this, Master? Play a game against me. Do you know the rules? You bet I do. I do come from a family of merchants, so I keep up with trends and know all sorts of games. Oh-ho! Prepare to meet your maker. So, who was I supposed to prepare to meet again? Come on, have a little mercy, you trounced me. One more time, I wasn't at the top of my game. When am I going to meet this maker? What? How? When did you put me in checkmate? One more. Hold on! That's not fair! Take it back! Ah, my king! But please stop! Amateur. Can't you go just a little bit easy? You never asked me to go easy. This isn't a game! This is slaughter! This is a one-sided massacre! About this maker. I'm looking right at him. That was actually kind of fun. No, it wasn't. It was miserable. Next time we're playing something fair. Such as... let's see. Oh, I know! Arm wrestling. Huh? Arm wrestling? Yeah, you sit across from each other, put your elbow on the table, grab hands, and see who can pin the other down. Who would ever willingly participate in such a primitive competition? Not interested then? Or are you afraid you might lose? Alright then. I can't imagine losing to a woman. Okay, elbow on the table. Start on my count. Ready? Go! Victory! Seriously guys, this is so cute. I absolutely love this part of the game. And like, it feels like we earned it, considering how many hours of like darkness and depression we've had. Just to look at Michel and Giselle being happy like this. It has been worth the suffering, so to speak. With each passing day, it grew less and less unusual having Giselle, always at my side. I began more freely engaging in silliness, speaking my mind and showing emotion. I could say her name, and Giselle would turn around and smile at me, an unimaginable sight not long ago. For 10 years I had lived alone. Solitude had been my normal, but that was very rapidly changing at her hands. We were continually getting closer, yes, but not in a romantic sense. If I had to describe it, I would say good friends was probably the most apt. Time continued to press on, our relationship remaining relatively stable. Eventually, summer came, bringing with it the longest periods of sunlight I had experienced in many years. Then the leaves began falling from the trees, and before long, the world grew cold and dreary. That winter, the fireplace was never without a crackling blaze in its belly. The boiled wine we drank was undoubtedly middling and cheap. But she said with a smile, "I've never had wine this good before." And though I didn't say anything, I felt the same way. The sun set much earlier, and having stopped using candles, we found ourselves habitually gathering around the fireplace when it grew dark. Oh, look at them! They're so cute. Okay, paparazzi lolly is coming out again because I'm taking a picture. No, wait! Wrong button! Sorry. That's what I meant to do, my god. Reading a story by the fireplace like this almost makes it feel like we're in another world, doesn't it, Master? I bet that's why troubadours perform at pubs, so they can be near the fire. Or because there's ale. Drunkenness makes me even bad singing and storytelling pleasant to ears. Oh, you're such a cynic. But that's okay. Say... Yes? Do you remember when I first arrived here? When I was cleaning the library? Please don't tell me you're bringing the obese rat incident back up. No, not that. Before that. Before we could actually talk to each other. I believe I suggested we read something together if you ever felt the inclination. You might have. I can't say I remember. Are you sure about that? You turned down my proposal, saying I was wasting my time. But look, it actually happened. No, please bring the obese rat up again. I know, right? It's hilarious. Even if you don't remember, I'm sure you never thought this moment would come. I was, for the most part, focused on making sure things didn't get any worse between us. But to be honest, I didn't expect there would actually come a time we could sit shoulder to shoulder and read a book. You never know how things might pan out. I actually do remember. I remember how I tried to push her away, how much I mistrusted her. I was nothing but hostile toward her. People change, and perhaps, if they can, so can the future. Maybe I can hope that, like our friendship, there's a chance that that future might make a turn for the better. Is something the matter? I don't much care for hypotheticals, but if by some chance I were someday to be able to return to that house, should that time come, that house is home to her nightmares. Even if it didn't happen until after my father was gone, it wouldn't erase what he had done to her there. She acts like nothing's wrong, though. I don't know. Have her wounds healed, or do they still remain? Should that time come? Should that time come? If that day comes, I will do what I can to ensure you have a comfortable life in the city. Though I will not be able to inherit the estate, I can work something out. I see. Thank you. Very much. But if you would be comfortable doing so, I would be pleased if you were to join me. I mean, as a servant. As a servant? Yes, a servant. We're, short on hands. I see. A servant. Do I really need to repeat myself? Yes, as a servant. Alright, sure. I think I will. I would like to accompany you, Master. How exciting! I'm sure a wonderful future awaits us. I pray so. Now, back to the story. I believe we had just gotten to the point where the knight set out to defeat the monster and save the princess. I bet it was a big, buff, muscular knight. Let's not talk about how muscular he was. Aww. She let out a gentle laugh, and I thought I smelled something sweet on her breath. Was it her scent, or perhaps just my imagination? I had no way of knowing. We sat so close, even the slightest shift seemed sufficient to allow me to hear the sound of her heartbeat, causing mine to accelerate. Curiosities flooded my mind. What might she be thinking right now? What does she think about me? And as much as I tried to banish them, I frustratingly failed. I was just getting caught up in the moment. I had just briefly lost my way. Though I tried to convince myself otherwise. It was all in vain. When had my pulse gotten so rapid? When had my skin gotten so flushed? When? How? Why was this happening to me? I thought I had already learned my lesson about having feelings for someone else. Before long, winter retreated and a second spring came to take its place. A full year had passed since we had resumed living together, and I don't think it was my imagination that this year felt much warmer than last. Spring seemed to have arrived a bit earlier than in previous years. One night, when the breeze carried on its pleasant residual warmth, Giselle escorted me out to the garden. "Come on, master, hurry up!" "It's the middle of the night. What's so important?" "I just found it myself, and I couldn't wait until morning." "A rose! It blossomed!" "A rose?" Giselle had, over the past year, cleaned up the nest of weeds that had been strangling the garden. Off to the side of a small plot of turned soil, swaying in the wind beneath the moonlight, was a single red rose. I really like this as well. This ties in so well with like the first door and the rose garden there, and that rose that the white-haired girl picked up. I really like that they are like remembering us about, or not remembering, reminding us of the previous doors as well. "When did you..." "Last year I requested flower seeds, but I just couldn't get them to grow, and I was starting to think they never would. But look, it's only one, but it did." I had no idea. "Of course you didn't, I didn't tell you." "Why would you keep it from me?" "I wanted to make it a gift for you, master." "What? Why?" "Roses make wonderful gifts, supposedly." Also, this is exactly what the maid said to the white-haired girl. I love this. This story is so good, guys. And even though I have read it before, I like just re-exploring it and see all this nice and just... I'm losing words. It's just so good. No, that's not what I meant. Why me? I haven't given you anything. Consider it a symbol of my hope that we'll still be this close another year from now. If we are, then this is yours. I don't follow her reasoning. I don't follow it at all, but... The sight of the deep red rose, almost melting into the dark night, was perhaps the most wondrous thing I had ever seen in my life. Roses make wonderful gifts. Does a red rose in flower language mean I love you? Yeah, I'm not very well versed in flower language, but I think red roses are like something along the lines of I love you or something like that. I do believe that. I had never understood why some people found flowers so enchanting. They were always just plants to me. But that one, on that night, was undeniably beautiful, majestic. And like a young child seeing a flower for the very first time, my hand automatically reached out for it. Not knowing the proper way to appreciate flowers, I didn't gently caress its petals or take in its fragrance, but snapped its stem. "Oh, you picked it! Are you going to bring it back to your room?" When I finally processed her question, that was when I realized I probably should have left it to grow in the garden. From the base of its stem, where I had plucked it, a droplet succumbed to the gravity and fell to the earth. With it came the delayed realization that I had ended the plant's life. But it was overpowered by childish possessiveness. This stunning flower was mine. Moonlight trickled down from the heavens, giving a gentle bluish tint to my hands and a smile on her face. "You're going to need a vase then. Give me just a minute." For the briefest moment, the moonlight must have played a trick on my mind. Huh? I'm taking another picture. Master? What on earth am I doing? A look of bewilderment filled Giselle's face, just inches from mine, which hammered in the reality of what I had just done. The thought had just crossed my mind that perhaps her black hair might prove a good backdrop for the rose, but it was supposed to remain a simple fancy. What was that about? An excuse. I need a good excuse. A drawing. A drawing? Right, I would like to preserve it on canvas. What? What? I mean, that rose on its own does not make a very compelling picture, so I would like to include you as an accessory. Wait, you want to draw me too? Merely as a background element. Michelle, you are so smooth, oh my god. You're slightly more interesting than a vase, that's all. Slightly more interesting than a vase, wow. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. He is almost as good with words as I am. I've never seen you draw anything before. I just never got the urge. You know how? Many years ago, my brother taught me. You really vibe with this guy? Yes! He is such an introvert and, like, socially awkward person. I vibe with him a lot too. Definitely. I don't think I can handle being a model. I never had a drawing done on me before. You would probably be better off with just a rose. You gave it to me, didn't you? That means I am free to do with this as I please. I did? I didn't mean to sound so rude. I had no real interest in drawing the rose, but I couldn't just take it back either. Giselle had shrunk back quite visibly, and I couldn't bring myself to look her in the eyes. So I fled to the cellar in search of supplies to escape the oppressive awkwardness. At the far wall, I found a rectangular panel of wood and several sticks of charcoal. My materials were obviously nothing compared to what a court artist might use, but I was clearly not going to be able to hold the portrait. I can't read. But I was clearly not going to be able to do the portrait any kind of justice. God, what am I doing? I want to bury my head in the sand. Giselle was waiting for me in the stained glass chamber. It seemed she was still just as uncomfortable as when I had left her. She gave me a fleeting glance before averting her gaze again. If only she would laugh or make a scene like usual, it would make things so much easier. Why did she have to choose now to start acting meek? What should I be doing? Stay perfectly still, please. Do you need me to pose or anything? No. Just get comfortable. Look away. Why? It's hard to work when you're watching me. What? I feel like I have to sneeze. Hold it in, please. What now? Can I see it? I've barely drawn anything yet. As long as our eyes didn't meet, I was able to observe her, and my gaze was quite clearly not focused on the rose, but Giselle. At first I had regretted my in-the-moment proposition, but I was beginning to think it hadn't been such a bad idea. Without some sort of pretext, I would never have been able to examine her so intently. I didn't have that kind of courage. This isn't like me. But what was like me? Did I prefer being a sharp-tongued, unapproachable recluse? Was that what I wanted to strive for? Giselle was like a gale. Her mere presence dispersed the gloomy cloud that always hovered around me. Thinking about it, it's practically a miracle that we ever ended up so comfortable around each other. That she's still here right now. Light from the moon spilled through the stained glass window, taking on a multitude of pale tones before falling on her white skin and jade eyes. Being a sharp-tongued, inapproachable recluse is nothing bad? Yeah, I kind of agree. Can be hard to deal with for other people, maybe. I had stopped sketching at some point. What in the world was going on? One of my roses had finally bloomed, which I thought would put a smile on Michel's face. But rather than improve his mood, it had made him go all strange. It had made him say that he wanted to draw something. I had never seen Michel draw anything before. I can't sit still. I tried to sneak peeks of him every now and a while, but anytime our eyes met, he gave me a stern, look that way, stare. So I ended up spending a whole lot of time looking at the archangel in the stained glass window. What could he be thinking? Could this be thanks for the rose? I'm pretty sure he's not the type who would consider a drawing an expression of gratitude, though. If I'm wrong about that, it'll turn my whole world upside down. Maybe he wanted to draw me. No, that's not possible. That would turn the world upside down even faster. He couldn't. We're close, to be sure, but we're not that kind of close. That makes it sound like Michel's attracted to me. And there's no way. There's absolutely no way. He compares me to an obese rat and calls me an amateur at chess, laughing while he crushes me. So that's not what this is it? Huh? Oh, yes? If it's too much trouble, you're free to leave. This will take a very long time to complete. Oh no, no trouble. You had a very stern look on your face is all. Was doing that bad a job at hiding it? I don't want to force you to do anything you don't want. It was foolish of me to ask you. I'm sorry. Honestly, it's no trouble. I mean it. You just took me by surprise, that's all. I'm not even that great of an artist to begin with. That's not a talent I was blessed with. If I'm being honest with myself, I can't imagine anyone would be pleased to have bad art drawn for them. What? What's he getting so negative about? I wasn't the only one making a face. His head was turned slightly downward, a forlorn shimmer in his eyes. I'd never seen him make that face before. He resembled a child who had just been scorned by his mother. I wasn't at all angry or displeased with him. I was just fine, honestly. I had to get that through to him. I am pleased. It doesn't matter how it turns out. You drew it for me, master. Whether it's good or bad is irrelevant. I would... But the moonlight shining through the stained glass was so enchanting. I lost myself in it. I would be happy with anything drawn for me by the man I love. For an instant, time froze. By the time I realized what I had said, my mind had gone blank, and I couldn't form a coherent thought. I mean, like, you know, like family. You're like an older brother to me. I meant love, like love for a brother. Hey, say something, master. Give me your usual exasperated sigh. Come on now. Go on, give me your best good grief, and then hurl me out the window. Oh, come on, please. Show me some disappointment. Master? Ah. When the wood panel he was using as a canvas and the charcoal in his hand crashed to the hard chapel floor, the clattering was so loud I jumped. I didn't have the presence of mind to wonder why he had knocked over the canvas, or why his hands appeared to be shaking. Let me help you with that. I stepped towards him, and when I did, the moonlight shining down upon us intensified, and our gazes of jade and ruby intertwined. There was a visible rosiness in his ethereally pale cheeks. Master? Flickers of panic darted beneath the surface of his normally stony red eyes. They were trembling as he looked over at me. I was at a loss for words. We must have been under the moon's spell. We weren't thinking. We stood alone in a frozen world, robbed of all rational thought. Riding the moonlight's current, his hand fell against my cheek. It was much colder than I had expected, but it felt pleasant on my flushed skin. That's the downside of being pale, people can see when you're embarrassed. Yeah, absolutely. As we drew closer, I could feel the warmth emanating from his body, and I'm sure he could feel mine. The beating of my heart too. His breathing stopped for a moment, then he gulped. He brought his head in. I closed my eyes and... Ah! Then I shoved him away with all my strength. Michel rolled back, knocked his head on the side of a pew, and began groaning in pain, which is when I finally realized what I had done. What have you done, Giselle? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Are you hurt? I'm fine. Sorry. You startled me. I really, truly didn't mean to knock you down. You should go back to your room. I'm sorry for all the trouble I've caused you tonight. What? Get some rest. Good night. You turned away, marching off into the corridor enshrouded in darkness. There was a heavy air of loneliness hanging over him, which gave rise to phantom images of him actually disappearing into the darkness. I had caused that, but I hadn't realized until it was too late. It felt like someone was sitting on my chest. Why would I ever do that to him? Of course I'm going to hurt him reacting like that. Maybe I was hoping he would say it was just one of his jokes. Do I want it to be a joke? I had that option. I could pretend nothing ever happened and tomorrow go back to the way things were before. But if I did that, there would almost certainly never be a second chance. You were okay with it. You wanted it, Giselle. Quit lying to yourself. You're the one who said you loved him. And that was no mistake. You wouldn't sit shoulder to shoulder and read a book with someone you didn't care for. You wouldn't enjoy eating supper with someone you didn't like. You wouldn't be able to live happily with someone you didn't love. You have to go after him, find him and tell him the truth. He hit his head on a pew, of course. He started, yeah, poor guy. But I mean, I understand her too. She obviously has trouble with PTSD because of what she was going through before, so... What am I doing, for God's sake? I'm not in my right mind. Something about me was off today. I couldn't control myself. I was saying things I didn't mean, doing things I didn't intend to. I had never meant to do that. But at this point I had no choice but to admit my feelings. I couldn't pretend I didn't know what they were anymore. How long had I felt this way? A week? A month? 6 months? Or maybe a full year? Had it already developed when we started anew? No, the when didn't matter. It didn't change the facts. I was still attracted to her, regardless of when it had begun. But she pushed me away, quite literally. I sighed at myself. Why should I be disappointed? She was nothing like me. I was reclusing and unsociable. She was the exact opposite. She was the kind of person who would confidently tell someone how she felt. And she had done exactly that. She had said I was like a brother. But I hadn't listened. As a matter of fact, could I have been any more presumptuous? I don't deserve to love anyone. It's better this way. Master! What? I told you to go back to your room. Master, I need you to listen to me, okay? What? About what just happened. That doesn't count. You can't count any of that. Huh? That I said I loved you, and that I shoved you. They don't count. Ah, right. I was planning to forget that anyway. So don't worry. No, that's not what I mean. What I'm saying is that it's not something I should have said on a whim, just because the moonlight was kind of pretty tonight. It wasn't supposed to be so casual. The way I said it doesn't get across at all how much I really care about you. It should have been something with more impact, rather. Me looking you straight into the eyes, my heart jumping around like it's on fire. That's how I should have said it. What? What are you... I'm saying, I want you to give me one more chance to do it right. Giselle. Calm yourself. I am calm. In no sense of the word are you calm. Fine, then I'm not calm, but I am clear-headed. I mean every last word. Listen very carefully. I love you. I love you so much I feel like my heart is going to explode. I mean, the person hitting your head on a pew were quite impactful in their own right, yes. Absolutely. What? Huh? You mean, like family? Like a brother, right? Romantic love! Romantic! What? I wasn't upset back there. No, I was elated. What? My mind couldn't keep up with what it was hearing. Half out of breath where she stood, Giselle was frantically insisting that she loved me. Was I dreaming? Master? How do you... I would like to hear how you feel about me. Assuming I interpreted that correctly, you were going in for a kiss back there, right? Right, so I can take that as your answer? Ah. Giselle looked up at me with bleary eyes. She had feelings. For me. It was a miracle. I could hardly breathe. It felt like someone had stuck their hand in my chest and was squeezing in my heart. I just had to say yes, and a smile was spread across her face. I could bring her joy, and all it would take was a single word. I had no reason to say no. My happiness was standing right there in front of me. What more could I ask for? All I had to do was reach out and claim it for myself. I had tried to do exactly that in the chapel, and I could do it again. I loved her. I was a twisted man, cast out of the world and left with nothing, I had no way to make her happy. But still, Don't tell me you've forgotten what you are. Tell me! There was no moonlight to give me that nudge. Do not feel that way about you. What? I got confused for a moment. I apologize for the misunderstanding that seems to have caused. All the color drained from her, like a flower wilting before my eyes. A heavy sigh spilled from her lips. Her jade eyes swayed lifelessly back and forth. I hadn't thought mere love could possibly have such weight, but she looked as though I had just told her she was to be executed. Idiot. Yeah, well, it's not that easy. I mean, both of their reactions to this, what we must understand here is they both have some pretty heavy trauma to deal with. Like, we have seen Giselle's trauma, like what she was going through at the boarding estate with Michel's dad raping her and abusing her and all that. And then all the torture at the village also. Like, she has been through a lot. So her reaction to him trying to be physical with her is... She didn't mean to do that. It was more instinct, obviously, because she was herself surprised by the way she acted. And on Michel's point of view, we don't know what he has been through yet, because we are not there at the story yet. We're going to get his backstory, but he has some pretty heavy trauma to deal with as well. So, it can be summarized with him feeling like he does not deserve to be loved. He is an abomination. He is out of this world. He does not deserve to have a normal, happy life, basically. So they are both very traumatized, which is why they are not handling this as normal adults people would do. But that's also what makes it so good, because they are two traumatized people that can, if they overcome this, they can heal each other. They obviously have begun to do so with their friendship and living happily together here in the mansion for this year. And that's what makes their relationship so beautiful as well, because they are perfect for each other. They need each other. It's more than just love in a way. But yeah. But it is frustrating, absolutely. It definitely is. I see. I'm sorry. I let it get to my head. Sorry for making such a racket. Really, God, what was I thinking? I got way ahead of myself there. Her fox energy hurt to watch. I had hurt her, and this was the result. You wanted to protect yourself even if it meant hurting her. But look where that got you. You would have been better off just going with it. Because when she learned the truth, she would have pushed you away anyway. I'm sorry. I'll be going now. Sorry for barging in on you like that. She made her way into the shadows toward the door. There, you did it. You preserved your peace. I got a feeling she would never again turn back. Your mistake was ever getting close to anyone. What I had always wanted was right there in front of me, and I was close enough to obtaining it. And you pushed her away. I actually did love her. She would never love the real you. No, she couldn't. You're disgusting. I can't believe you actually had the gall to fall for me. Good night, Master. She was leaving. I wanted her here, and she was leaving. I simply had to acknowledge my feelings, and she would come back. Was I really content to let her go. In my weakness, I mistreated her. I hurt her. I let her go, and I was about to lose her. Even though she said she loved me. And I felt the same way. Wait. Please don't go. Your voice is shaking like a scared child's. What are you hoping to tell her like that? She was different. She was probably... No, she absolutely was nothing like anyone in my past. She won't be any different. I decided I would try just one more time. To believe in myself, and to believe in someone else. I lied. Giselle, from the bottom of my heart, You'll regret this. No, I won't. I sincerely love you. The fragrance of rose enveloped me. Her arms wrapped around my chest were both imbued with strength and shaking like mad, as though the slightest touch might shatter them. Aww. Why didn't you just say that in the first place? She said in a quavering, sniveling voice just inches away from my ear. I lacked sufficient control over my mind or body to return her embrace, to run my hands through her hair, or to do anything more than support her weight. I'm sorry. Jerk! Bully! Brute! You don't get to play this one off as a joke. I am truly, sincerely sorry. You're giving me two different stories. Tell me, which one is the truth? You were just confused, or do you actually love me? I want to hear you say it again. The truth is, I love you. Again! I love you. Without fumbling this time. I love you, as I've said several times now. Not good enough, again. Have mercy, please. I'm about to die of humiliation. Can I really believe you this time? You're not going to say you were lying again? No, I won't. Then we both feel the same way about each other. Shockingly enough. What's there to be shocked about? You feel bad for the dude, yes. He's having a rough time. I didn't think there was anything likable about me. You really have to do something about that pessimism. I'll try. I'm in heaven. I'm so happy I could cry. You are. All over me. You kind of relate to him, you would react the same way someone wanted to confess over and over again. Yeah. Yeah. But they are so cute together. They are like the complete opposites, and that's adorable. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. When you first said no, everything went black. I wasn't sure what I would do anymore. I had lost all hope. I really do feel bad about that. But you had a change of heart. Now you're willing to have me. Yes. And everything I bring with me. That was the idea. Absolutely everything, right? You're pushing that point rather hard. I have a request. It's something I don't think I could ask you at any time but now, while we're in the moment. I will do anything, so long as it's within my ability. Tell me, what is it? Will you look at my naked body? What? More specifically, my scars. You are going to have to see them eventually. In which case, I would like that to be now. A year ago, I had refused to look at the scars. I had been certain I wouldn't be able to accept what they represented. The abuse my father had subjected her to. If possible, I would have preferred never having to face that. But I, more than anyone, needed to know. It was my responsibility. I had to accept reality, not grimace or avert my eyes. I had to face up to what had been done to her. She needs to phrase a word better. Yeah, but like she's sort of panicking about all this as well, so it's hard to phrase words sometimes. Okay. I couldn't bring myself to look at her as she hesitantly disrobed. The sound of her clothes rustling made me feel as though I was doing something incredibly improper. As much as I tried to feign calm, I was so tense my joints were practically creaking and my heart felt like it was being stepped on. I feel like I'm made of stone. I'm ready. You can turn around. Alright. I'll count to 10. She's laughing at me. I feel a whole lot better seeing you so nervous. I'm turning around. Okay. Her head was tilted down just enough to keep me from making out her expression, but I couldn't hide the pink flush spreading across her cheeks. It contrasted well against her white, but not excessively pale, skin, as did her jet black hair. Sorry, it's not anything nicer to look at. In what way was this not a pleasant sight? I had never been more entranced by anything in my entire life. She was stunning. I had no measure of comparison, but I was certain the same sight of any other woman in the world would not have had the same effect on me. I could say as much with confidence, despite having never seen another woman nude. Hypnotized, I couldn't take my eyes off the gentle curves of her body. Were I more socially inclined, perhaps I could have told her she was pretty, which perhaps would have brought a sheepish smile on her face. And though I wanted to, my throat was as dry as dust, and all I could manage to produce were incoherent rasps. Please say something. I'm hideous, aren't I? I'm unclean. You're not hideous. You mean it? I mean it. Why would you think so? Because You are not unclean. Not in the slightest. You mean it? I do. Even seeing this? Giselle's eyes slid downward, a trace of fear lurking just beneath the surface. Following her lead, I dropped my gaze to her lower body. And there, I saw her scars. Swollen, red and black gashes, still not healed after more than a year, defiled her white flesh. As she described for me, the lines were arranged to form letters carved into her skin. So that's why she said I would have to see them eventually. My instincts told me that these were wounds she would carry for the rest of her life. I felt nauseous, heartbroken, infuriated, at the fact that the person who had done this was out of my reach, at the fact that I could do nothing for her. What went through my father's mind when he looked at these? What did he gain from giving her these wounds? Why did he have to do this to her? Why my father, of all people? Giselle was the one with the scars. Giselle was the one in pain. But I felt like someone had shoved a handful of needles into my chest. Dozens of thick metal stakes piercing the walls of my heart, blood streaming through me like a river. If I didn't force myself to face it, I was liable to run. What was the right thing to say? What was I supposed to tell her? As hard as I thought, I couldn't come up with an answer. All I came up with was intense frustration. It killed me that I couldn't take these scars from her. That I couldn't give my father a piece of my mind. You are in no way hideous, no matter what marks are left on your body. It took all I had to form that single sentence. Thank goodness. I'm so glad to hear that. When I was down in that village, they said it didn't matter what they did to me because I was already dirty. That made me think I had reached a point where I was so tainted, anyone can see it. I'm sorry. Why should you apologize? You were frowning really intensely. I thought I might have made you mad. No, I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at my father, the villagers, and myself. May I touch them? You may. My hands were trembling, but I knew I wouldn't be doing her any favors by hesitating. As soon as my fingertips brushed her skin, she shuddered. Poor girl. Does it hurt? No. There hasn't been pain in some time. I could feel her trembling where I touched her. It didn't seem like it was going to subside anytime soon. Soon she began whimpering softly. Her lips moved as though she was trying to say something, but the best she managed was a few strained gasps. Tears had begun welling up in her eyes as well. My God, this is so heartbreaking. My heart is literally aching for her. I feel it physically in my body. It's just so... It's a beautiful scene because this is part of her healing process, but it's so sad that she ever had to go through this in the first place. I feel like I'm in heaven right now, but I also kind of hate myself. Hate yourself? But why? Because I can't stop shaking. I'm overjoyed to feel your touch, but I can't control my body. I know you're nothing like that, but I keep seeing flashes of you doing other things in my mind. It kills me that my body won't react the way I feel in my heart. Okay, bye Eldrin, have a nice day. I was foolish to have ever thought these wounds might have healed. Just as scars remained on her body, so too did they remain in her heart. Unlike the physical wounds though, the ones inside her seemed to still be raw and bleeding. She just did such a good job of acting normal that I had begun to think she might have gotten past them. Of course not, you blind fool. You shoved me back there. You shoved me back there because it brought back those memories. That's right. I'm sorry. I'm really, truly sorry. Why are you apologizing? I should be the one. Do you have any desire to place a curse on him? What? Do you want to curse Antonin? If you so desire, I might be able to make it happen. Cast a curse on him. Perhaps even a fatal one. Ignore the fact that he is my father. I don't consider that man family anymore. I want you to be honest with me. If, hypothetically, such a thing were possible, would you want to curse him? No, I would not want that. Why not? You have every right to take revenge. For what that man did. He deserves punishment. He inflicted so much pain on you. You're still shaking more than a year later, and you can't just let him get away with it out of the goodness of your heart? Hypothetically, if you wanted to curse him, I wouldn't do it even hypothetically. And not out of the goodness of my heart. I'm just a coward. A coward? If curses were real, and he were to die by one, then I would never, ever be able to forget. If my resentment for him took his life, that would mean he had damaged me so permanently I was never able to get past it. I don't want that. I want to be able to forget. I'm still shaking now, But one day, I want to be able to proclaim proudly that it no longer has any control over me. But I appreciate the sentiment. Setting aside your choice of method, you asked out of concern, and that's more than enough for me. A soft smile spread across her lips, but all it inspired in me was powerlessness. She was putting on an act. Was the sentiment really more than enough? Of course not. Not when she was still trembling so much. But what was I to do? What was I, unable to leave this house and helpless against the will of the Bollingeers, to do? I was incapable of assuaging her pain, wasn't I? I couldn't do anything. Could I? Before I throw in the towel, I need to take some real time to think. To stop running from the problem. To figure out a real way to give her what she wants. That doesn't involve curses and angry words. There has to be something only I can do. Giselle. I took the hand that had been tracing her scars and slid it around her waist. Even now, her trembling showed no signs of abating. I will never, the one thing I could do, hurt you again, was to wrap her trembling body in my arms. I want you here with me. All I ask of you for now is to be at my side. You can be scared and you can quiver, but please don't apologize for it. Please don't feel bad about it. I promise not to turn my head away from your pain. So I ask of you, try not to keep it buried. I have no power or influence. I don't know all the right things to say. I'm a man with nothing to his name. But the one thing I do have is a heartfelt desire to do whatever I can for you. As soon as I tightened my grip around her waist, she lurched forward, throwing her arms around me. Muffled whimpers resonated against my shoulder where she had buried her head. Eventually, they grew into unfettered sobs. Poor girl. My heart. And my bedchamber was enveloped in the sound of weeping. She cried like a little child. The usually strong-willed, cheerful, optimistic Giselle wailed from the depths of her soul. This past year she had constantly been nudging me forward. It was always her leading the way. There had undoubtedly been moments where she had wanted to cry like this, but couldn't. So, starting now, I was going to try and support her too. I was sure I would mess something up, as I had little experience being caring. I would probably anger her, probably stress her out, and probably make her cry. But I found my resolve. I had overcome my hesitation. I was sure I could do it, that I could create a place where she could find peace. I could surely. Giselle didn't stop crying until the sun had begun peeking over the horizon. I had, as I said, not looked away, simply holding her in silence. She had a decidedly not childlike frame, but she seemed incredibly small in my arms. We felt each other's warmth through my clothes. Between sniffles, Giselle said softly, "One day, I'm certain, I'll be able to, without any hesitation, be properly joined with you, and it will be wonderful. Right now, I still can control the shaking, but eventually, I want to be able to put my hands on you too." The affection infused in each and every word was palpable. Sometime later, she drifted off to sleep, exhausted. I've prayed from the bottom of my heart that at least tonight she would have pleasant dreams. Okay guys, I think this is the perfect place to end it for today. Wow. I have loved doing this episode from start to finish. I loved the last one as well, but that was a very much darker episode, and this was more hopeful and happy. I liked all the comedy and Michel and Giselle just realizing their emotions for each other, and now this is just so beautiful, so well written and well handled. I really like how there's absolutely nothing sexual about that scene, even though she's standing there. We clearly see her naked body and everything, but it's just a beautiful scene, nothing sexual about it, just her healing from her trauma and Michelle realizing just how much pain she has been in, and it's so beautiful. And seriously, I can literally feel my chest ache in that scene because it's just so sad, and she deserved so much better. She didn't deserve anything of the things that she went through. And I'm so happy that she and Michelle have found each other and found love in each other, and that they have both admitted to these feelings. So yeah. So I feel just... if I'm to describe my feelings right now, it's happiness, but with a tinge of heartache, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so the next The House in Fata Morgana stream will be tomorrow at 15:15 GMT, and then I will have a Bloodborne stream on Thursday at 15:15 GMT. But I will put up my schedule today later, so you don't have to remember on your own if you don't want to. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment and subscribe. It really helps me a lot. I will go and have some lunch now. I wish you all a lovely day, and I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. Bye guys!